I have found my new favourite affordable sports watch, and I think it's amazing. Now, sports watch can be many things for many different people. For me, the thing that sets the best ones apart is that they look just as good on the morning tee box when you go to play golf as they do in the clubhouse afterwards. Not that they'd let someone like me into a clubhouse. Something that you could take for a fancy meal, but also something that would be just as comfortable running a 5k. There are so many suitable examples of that type of watch, but my new favourite comes from a French brand by the name of BegHof. This is their Urban 39. My name is Jason, I'm your watch guy today. Let me tell you all about it. I love how refined this piece is while it still remains robust and angular. You can definitely point to some Genta inspiration here, especially through the bezel and the integrated bracelet. Honestly though, it is really hard for me to look past that stunning purple dial. As well as that, the finishing throughout the case and the bracelet is absolutely on point. The angles really accentuate that finishing too, especially through the polished edges of the bezel through the side profile of the case and following into the bracelet. It really helps to give this watch a slimming effect, but it also really doesn't need it as it comes in at 9.8mm thick, while the 39mm diameter is absolutely spot on for me. Now, with integrated sports pieces, the lug-to-lug is often shorter than the average, and that is the case here. Whilst measuring to those outer points of the lugs, you'll get a 44mm reading. If you include the male end to that case, it comes in at 47mm. Either way, fantastic wear. Whether that be on the stainless steel bracelet or on the fabric band. I've enjoyed this one much more than I probably should have before reviewing it, and you can see that through some of the images. I have left a couple of scratches, but that's because I've been obsessed with wearing this in pretty much any situation. It's been the perfect summer watch as we've had our nice weather in the UK lately, especially with that bright dial and sporty aesthetic. And I'll tell you now, this is definitely one that catches the eye. It is available in multiple different variants if you don't like the purple dial, and that includes a stealthy PVD black edition. The dial really did make me fall in love with this piece. The textured pattern throughout is definitely the highlight for me. But one thing that definitely goes unnoticed with a lot of watches, and you don't really hear reviewers speak about it, is the spacing between the dial, the handset, and the crystal. And I mention that now because I think this watch absolutely nails it. Some of that may be owed to the printer's chaptering, making this a much more cohesive display. But one thing's for certain, that it definitely gives a more sophisticated and luxurious look. The pointed hour markers and Dauphine handset are high polish on the borders, as you'd probably expect with this style. They do carry off that more sophisticated look that this piece requires. They are also all loomed, and I will be showing you that shortly. The lollipop second hand sweeps beautifully throughout the dial, and that is owed to the high beat movement in this watch. That is the Miyota 9019. Another feature that I will be coming back to because you're going to want to hear about it. The pattern to the dial is absolutely exceptional, and it's not like any other that I've seen in other watches. It's made up of straight lines, of curved waves, and the way that it comes together, it hits the light in a beautiful way no matter the angle. And for me, it just makes that display that little bit more enjoyable. This piece does have a date window which is placed at the 6 o'clock, and it blends really well with the rest of the dial. That is probably due to the porthole style to it, as well as matching the date wheel to the dial colour, something that BegHof have not slipped up on, and it's really good to see. Especially considering they're using much more extravagant colours throughout this range. It keeps the design really cohesive as well as adding that extra function. The loom is probably exactly as you would expect with that BGW9 application. One thing I will say is that the application area is quite small on this, and that does mean that there isn't that big pop of loom. However, it's functional, it does the job, and it's well spread and evenly applied. For me, it gets a pass. It's not dive territory, but it's okay. The case is fantastic throughout. I mentioned that it has that Genta type of inspiration, but they haven't gone into the realms of trying to homage anything else. Now, you may think that it has a little bit of a look of an Audemars Piguet, but really, when we look at them together, this one's much more refined. You don't have the screws in the bezel. It definitely distinguishes itself as its own piece while still having inspiration in the market. as does every brand. The finishing is really a highlight on the upper end of the case. Those chamfers to the edges are absolutely beautiful, and that is accented nicely by the edge of the bezel and the high polish. That straight brush throughout is definitely a very industrial look, and one that I really enjoy. The screw down crown is signed and it is well sized, despite being a slightly more obscure shaping. Along with the other features to this case, including the screw in case back, the sapphire crystal, this comes in with 100 meters of water resistance. The display case back shows off one of my favorite features to this piece. That is, of course, the movement. The customized rotor is an absolute beauty. The gold tone to that customized rotor is fantastic, as it distinguishes it against the rest of the movement. That being said, the finishing through the rotor and the movement itself is really nice to look at. It definitely distinguishes itself from the standard Miyota 9000 series movements. But another way that it distinguishes itself is that BegHof have adjusted each movement in their workshop in Le Mans, and they've done that to a Kosk level of accuracy. That is not something that you often see in this price range, especially not under £500. I think it's a real driving point to the value of this piece. The package I received came with both the bracelet and the textile band. I am a massive fan of that textile band, and it comes in altogether at £474. If you wanted to just get it on the band, you could cut this down to £434. Now, I told you how much I love it, so let's talk about that band. I personally think with the matching colours, it very much elevates the summer or bright vibe of the Urban 39. It's also a very interesting design. Yes, it's a Velcro fold over, however, they do have a adjustable buckle, so you can get pretty much the perfect fit on this band. And personally, I think that's very important considering the sport tone of the piece. It's also nice to see that they've matched the colour to the dial throughout the entire range, not just on this purple, or as BegHof call it, ruby. Now, the bracelet is also fantastic, and I think that gives it the more sophisticated, go out to dinner type of look. The center brushing is accented beautifully with the chamfers to the edges, and that flows with the rest of the case design. It's nice to see that they've built this considering the flow of the finish throughout the entire watch, not just the head of the watch. Now, it fits well to wrist, but I will say it is a butterfly clasp, and if you're an existing subscriber, you know how we feel about butterfly clasps around here. That being said, this style of watch is definitely the type of watch that you'd expect to have a butterfly clasp on, and it's not a bad one, it's just not my type of thing. This is seriously a difficult watch to criticise. The movement is beautifully decorated, and let's be honest, it's probably one of the reasons that you actually clicked on this video. The dial is stunning, and you know I love an elaborate colour, and the band highlights that even further. The specifications are definitely up to scratch considering the high beat movement, the sapphire crystal, and the water resistance. That being said, I do wish they would have applied a horizontal brushing to the side profile of the casing. I feel like that would have made it a little bit more sophisticated, and it definitely would have helped with the slimming of the case. Not that it needs it, but more importantly, it gives you that more luxurious finish to it. As well as that, the band and the bracelet are not very easy to swap in and out. It is a double screw system, and if you have ever tried to get two screwdrivers either side of a watch case and twist like that, you'll know it is an absolute nightmare. Finally, I know now a lot of people will be a massive fan of the brand name. I speak English, so I don't really know how this sounds in French or with a French accent, or what it actually means in French. So if you have any French subscribers, you could let me know in the comments below, but I know not everyone will be a fan of this brand name. I get it. Personally, for me, I really don't care. Other than that, I absolutely love this watch, and it's certainly one that will be sticking with me throughout the summer, even though I'm currently culling my entire collection. I just think this one is the ideal wear for these hot days. For between £434 and £474, depending on the package that you pick up, I think that this is an absolute stunning and amazing deal. Thank you for watching today, guys. Please let me know what you think of this watch in the comments below, and let me know what you think of BegHof. I'd love to work with them again if this is the standard of watch that they are putting out. Now, this is actually one that I reached out to them to have in because I saw it on an advertisement and I was just taken by it instantly. It was definitely that dial colour, but after assessing it on a closer level, I just fell. If you're interested in this piece or any of the rest of BegHof's range, then please click their website link in the description. Thank you for watching today. Remember to subscribe if you want more watch content, and I will see you in the next one.